Hello, and welcome to the Bebops of the Cowboys of the Power On. How's it going? Mix and match and all that sort of fun stuff. I am one of your hosts, Taylor, and with me is the normal guy. He's not quite the black dog. Maybe he is. I don't know. But with me is Mr. Sushi B. How you doing?
Well, as you know, we were chatting before this. I'm a little fired up about something else. I'm not going to take it out on Jet nor you. So,
oh no.
No. Yeah, I'm a little upset about something, but I'm not going to let that affect our discussion today about Mr. Jet and a little bit of his history.
Yeah, we're going to talk about episode 16, Black Dog Serenade. Mm-hmm. It is, we bouncing back to Jet after, it's been what, 7 episodes proper?
You probably remember that better than me. I'm a little fuzzy on the numbers.
I'm trying to think. Wait, no, 6, because episode 10 was Ganymede.
Okay.
9's jamming with Edwards, I think. I'm mixing them up. Am I mixing them up? This is going to bother me. I have a whole thing of notes. I don't know why I just don't. Or I did. Where's this thing at? Good Lord. Well, do I even know what I'm doing? No, I don't. But I'll figure it out one of these days. 9 is jamming with Edwards, so 10 was the last time we really had some Jet lore dumped on us. And that's what we're getting into on this one. So, yeah. What are some things you like about this episode? Anything in particular that really kind of sticks out to you? You're like, yeah, this is enjoyable.
Well, again, I enjoy more of these episodes that focus on Jet. I just like that the kind of pacing on them is a little bit more in that slower category.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that it brings down the level of intensity because a lot of the other episodes, right, lots of shootouts and chases and in the shuttles and things like that. And Jed has some of that in his episodes as well. But I just like that there's a little bit more of that detective piecing and putting together information and that detective side of work and stuff like that. So I appreciate that a lot. And I like the flashback being in a film noir style. I like that a lot.
It is pretty nice. I do enjoy the more slower pace of this one, as opposed to some of the episodes can be a bit frenetic. Mm-hmm. The slower pace is really nice. There's a lot of not necessarily silence, but points where there's just music, and there's a little less that lets you simmer a bit. And I think that's, I can't really speak to, tons of more recent films, but just in the last 20 years, 30 years or so, feels like they have to always have something, especially a lot of more modern stuff where there's always got to be some sort of quip, got to be some sort of comment, got to be some sort of, volley back. And it's like, sometimes people, there are people out there who do not talk all the time, who don't have to have some sort of witty rejoinder to be like, hey, ain't I the funny one? Or this doesn't bother me. And it's just like, pump the brakes. Sometimes you just got to let something simmer.
Right. So it's like looking for that quick meme, right? To make sure that your product or piece of information kind of gets out there and sticks at least for a little while. It does feel like a lot of writing is trying to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't do that in this one.
No, not really. I do have a favorite line in this one, but I'll get to that part later.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. What do you got
there? Something I like is early on the dynamic between Faye and Jet. It is almost a very old couple kind of bickering.
Yeah, kind of
kind of thing. It's pretty funny because he's just like, yeah, I'll get to it, and then his phone little intercom thing goes off, and she'll answer it and be like, he's busy. Then hang up. It's a nice little some levity to to the episode there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have such an interesting dynamic. It's Faye. You've mentioned something before about Faye being, obviously an attractive woman and not really getting a lot from the two of them in the sense of sort of that there's no love triangle, there's no sort of fighting over for her attention, anything like that. But she kind of leans more to Jet a little bit. Like we see their interactions feel a little more natural or a little bit more calm or sort of almost family-like. Yeah, like almost family-like. And Spike much less so. He's always brushing, particularly her off. He brushes Jet off quite a lot too.
Right.
But so yeah, they almost have like either it is a brother sister or old couple or whatever that looks like. But I appreciate it too. Like we see another episode right where she's playing the fool when they're playing the dice game.
Right.
And stuff like that. So. And I remember one of my favorite lines early on, too, when she says, "Oh, you don't want to give me bad news. It's not me. I'm a nice guy. I've got something for you." And he's got that bill for her.
Right.
So, yeah, there's some little cheekiness between them that's really fun. And I do like the serious moment, though, when she talks about for his arm.
Yes, I was going to bring that up as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good moment of, yeah, there's that sort of tension between them, that playfulness, but that serious moment of asking him kind of like, why not? And, Jet's very much of the old mindset of he doesn't let go of the past easily. And I think he's a bit of that old fashioned type personality, right? Old fashioned love style, old fashioned way of thinking to some degree, old fashioned and in his approach to things.
Yeah, where he's mentioning, about like, this is my arm and this is my ship kind of thing. Like, I totally get that just from, my mentality with like my ear and stuff. Cause there was a point to which, like, I had a bunch of surgeries as a kid to get it to where it's at now. And then there wasn't anything for a long time. And then I finally was, not that it was like just kind of gift wrapped to me, but there was an offer to kind of finish up the cosmetic part of it.
Okay.
Or like 10, 12 years after the fact. Maybe not 12, but like 10 years after the fact. And I was like, no, this is a part of me. This, like, I'm not gonna, like, there's no, because what it would have been a magnetic strip in my head, and it would have just been like a magnetic thing for it. I'm like, why would I do that? Like,
that's interesting though. I've never heard of it.
Yeah. It's not like anything that I keep close to the vest or anything, but it's just kind of like, no, yeah, why would I do that? Like, this as much of a pain as it may be, like, it is just as much part of me. So, like, I totally get his arm. I totally get it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like birthmarks. It's, sometimes people are a little self-aware with some of that stuff, right? Like, especially if you're, like if you are a fitness model or something and you have like a birthmark or a mole on your stomach and you're supposed to be showcasing two-piece swimwear or something, right? You might be conscious about that and want to get it removed, or remove your mole like Roger Moore halfway through your tenure of Queen Bond, and being like, why does his face look so different? I guess it was over halfway through his tenure, but yeah, like, and of course this is kind of our pressures from society, right, to reach for perfection that isn't, usually possible. So I appreciate it too. I appreciate that he's accepted this, and as he said, it's my arm. This is who I am now, and I'm not going to change that, nor do I really want to anymore. So maybe there was a time he wanted to.
That, or it's serving as a reminder. As he says before, this is what I get for getting ahead of the game. So this is also his way to keep himself in check.
Right. Or like throwing away the watch that he had, right? So it's kind of similar in that regard too.
Yeah, very, very interesting, because this is stuff that's keeping him tethered there, and he's not, like I've mentioned before throughout the series, it's just that they're all struggling with getting out of the loop of being stuck in the past, and this is certainly to some degree, it's obviously kind of kept him pinned there,
Mhm.
and he's allowing it to weigh him down. Like, I can kind of get it, but then for myself with like the ear thing, it's just like I don't sit there and let it weigh me down on anything. Now I'm pretty open about it. Like, I'll be talking to coworkers and stuff, and I'll be like, yeah, it's sometimes hard to hear, or I'll be like, there's a part where like music will come on and I won't be able to hear it at a certain area, and I'll tell them it's like I can't hear this. Like, it's just because of all the other noises going on. I literally cannot hear it, and they're like, really? And it's like, yeah, I have to go to different area, and I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I'm not like, oh no, my childhood was so obnoxious because kids made fun of me because I had to wear a bubble on my head.
Mhm.
Now it's nah, whatever.
Right. Okay. Another one for me is a really quick one. Is just the fashion sense of Jet back in the day is he's quite dapper, and he kind of has that when they go to the casino in what is that, episode 3? Or is that 2? That's episode 3. When they went to the casino, he's kind of wearing a pretty similar outfit, if not the same outfit. It might actually be the same outfit. Yeah, it's a good look for him, right? With the hat and the long sort of, I don't know. It's supposed to be in that monochrome or black and white tone, so it's kind of hard to tell, but it almost looks a bit like a cream colored suit or like a white colored suit that he's got on. But yeah, it's a good look for him.
As you said, dapper.
I don't know if I like it more with the shades or without, but like in the casino one, he looks pretty cool with the shades. But both are good looks.
I actually don't mind a few of the smaller players in this. Some of the like the prisoners, like he doesn't really have a name, but the one that's got the green eyes and black hair. Outside of one line delivered, that's really I actually really like that voice actor. I was like, yeah, he's got a good voice for it that is like didn't really great outside of the one line of like, who the devil is he kind of thing. It's like, it could have probably been written better, but he's like, I'll bring it up where they're discussing stuff and he's like, and our dear pilots are very dead. I love that line. It's just how it's delivered and everything. It's like, oh, that's just such a
yeah. I didn't think too much about the voice acting and stuff on this one, but yeah, because I mean, for me, the focus on Jet and then his former partner Fad is really for me the most key point and most interesting point, aside from again a few of those little smaller interactions like with Faye, as well as with Ed, because this must be. Would you say, does this episode have the least amount of Spike so far? He's almost non-existent in this episode.
Yeah, there was another one that he was pretty light in.
Yeah, he's very limited in this one.
Yeah,
very limited. So,
I mean,
he only has maybe
jamming with Edward. He's pretty limited.
Yeah. But this one, yeah, it seems even more so. He must only have like 4 or 5 lines or something like that.
Yeah, he's not around too much.
Right. Which is fine. Like his character type does not fit with the theme type, so it's appropriate for him to not basically be in the episode. But I do like the interaction with Jet and Ed when Jet's implying that he's maybe not coming back.
Right.
And just tells her to water the bonsai and to take care of it.
Yeah, that was a really interesting thing to me, because it's like, he doesn't tell anybody outside of just saying this to Ed. He doesn't talk to Faye. He doesn't talk to Spike about it. He's just kind of like, it's his own business. I'm going to take care of it. So, and I get that, but it's this like this is one of those failing points where it's like here, and it could be because it's his past, so he feels like he has to do it himself, and B, it could also be a sign that he's just like, I can't trust you guys enough to kind of help get me over this hump. So
he has a little bit of that do as I say, not as I do.
yeah,
Because he's constantly chewing them out for running out and doing crazy things.
mm-hmm.
Spike will say something, oh, it's impossible to hit that target. It's the size of a pin. And Spike will say, oh, challenge accepted or something. And he's yelling, Spike, like he's constantly kind of chewing them out and try to be the parent. But in this case, yeah, he's doing the reverse role of just not even saying anything and just basically walking away.
Yeah.
And them not really... Faye, I think, is just kind of aloof to some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But for Spike to not even kind of bother to go looking for him or anything it's in character for him, but it kind of maybe goes back to I know you've got some stuff for Spike at the end here when we get there, but it's kind of disappointing again, right? Like, they've come through in the clinch for him at times, and for him it's just kind of like, he's living the way he thinks he needs to live, and because that's his personality trait.
Yeah. And he'll when Jet gets back, he'll be mad.
Yeah, because he didn't fix something or didn't bring him back a meal or something stupid. Faye, because the water's cold.
Right. Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, but this is
but very in line still.
It's very in line, and it's also, this is where it's like I kind of bring this up of the odd breakdown and just kind of socializing with people, and things like this where it's like, oh yeah, I really enjoy Cowboy Bebop. I love Cowboy Bebop, but like there's some big red flags that people should really not take away to be like, yes.
Right.
Like, no. How about no? Let's not go that route.
It may not be the archetype of life you want to follow through on.
Right.
Yeah. Got any other positives you wanted to shoot out there?
One, this is a very minor thing, but I just really like it, is when Thad's turning off the screen and the music cuts and it just gets silent.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that choice. For whatever reason, it really snaps you into that moment. Because you got all that action going on, and it's not like it's bad action or anything like that. You're like, okay, I'm going along, and then all of a sudden, it's like bloop, and then it just stops, and you're like, oh, okay, we're about to get serious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. I do like the standoff with Thad and Jet. I like the lighting. I think the animation quality looks really good. And I like that, Jet, it's kind of similar to the earlier Jet episode, right? Of he's now in that moment and he doesn't really second guess anything, which I think does show some of his maturity in these moments. Yes, he hangs on to some of those things, but once he gets to that moment,
it's go.
Yeah, it's not, there's nothing to second guess. He just doesn't even second guess that he needs to kill Thad because, what happened in the past, and as well as that Thad's not going to delay here either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really nice. Like that's, like, I like the little interaction with Udai. I don't mind Udai. He does come off a little, I don't know how to put it. Like, it's just kind of, there's just something about Udai is interesting, but then it's also very not interesting.
Yeah, he doesn't get enough time to really be fleshed out, so.
Yeah, that certainly plays a part into it, not getting enough time for it.
Because I agree with that. I think there's something there with his connection to the syndicate, but now they don't want to do business with him, and as far as I know, nothing kind of comes about of that. But it would be interesting to learn a little bit more, like how did he kind of get disowned, and because he seemed to be, kind of giving that information from the inside and so forth, and was one of their top used assassins and such. So it's like, yeah, it's kind of interesting that they just dropped him.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, something obviously went down, and the game's changed. So,
Right.
so what are some things you don't like? Unless you've got a few more things.
It's not really a dislike, but there's some pretty
Mm-hmm.
heavy violence in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like shooting the driver of the ship. Uday cuts that guy across the throat. Right, like, and they trick the police to start firing and stuff. Like, there's some pretty hard violence in this, but that kind of to me falls in line with a very film noir type. Like, film noir is really weird with that. Like, it always kind of pushes that violence, like it does it in a fairly dramatic way, but doesn't like cut away from the violence. The violence is very important to film noir, and kind of keeping that mystery, and the criminal intent needs to be quite vile in a film noir typically. So I think it does fall in line. Like, I know it's not during the black and white sequences, but I think it kind of falls in line with what's necessary in this episode. But it kind of falls in the gray for me. Like, it's kind of like, oh, I don't love it, but I don't hate it. And I see why those stylistic choices would be made.
Yeah, it's I don't mind it so much, but there's and they usually are pretty I want to say like poignant with their violence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, episode 1, like
Mm-hmm.
there's a pretty violent end. Yeah. So like it is throughout the series, but it's not how to put it. It is not threaded through every episode.
Mm-hmm.
But when they do push into it. And it's like, oh, there is violence. They're not gonna shy away from it.
Yeah,
so.
it's a little more gratuitous in this episode. Like, somebody getting slashed across the throat, and it doesn't really like cut away. It basically shows it. That's quite violent. That in other episodes, if there's a gun shootout and stuff, yeah, we might see somebody get blasted away. But like, look at the driver in this one. He gets shot like a lot, and there's quite a bit of blood and stuff that's flying out of him as he's killed. So it's got some juice to it, that's for sure. They didn't kind of hold back.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, there's yeah, just some juice to it. Let's see. I would say kind of, even though I mentioned like liking Uday, there's the not really getting to dive more into his sort of thing is, while understandable, it makes it it's not like it's bad, it's just kind of in the middle. It's like, I wish there was a little bit more going on here, or not going on, but just understood.
Right.
But in the same hand, it does reinforce it's in the past, stop worrying about it kind of thing.
Right.
So there's that. Probably the weakest thing for me in this whole thing is the end.
Like the reveal, or
no, the end. It's
okay.
Like, how does Jet get away with this? Like he's on this prisoner ship, and then all of a sudden the ISSP show up. Oh, what's the story he tells? The only thing I could get away with thinking is that good old partner did this, so it makes it like it does the whole standoff thing at the end, so make it look like that he was trying to save himself. But then in the same hand, the cops are going to be like, "Why are you here?"
Right.
Kind of thing. What's going on? So it's a little frustrating. Like, that ending is just kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. How do you get out of this, Jet?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, it just kind of fades out pretty quick. So, I don't really personally have too much. Like, I can't think of any like strongly opinionated negative things for this episode for me. And nothing is really jumping out. One of the other things I do kind of like, though, is as well is later on when Udai and Jet are struggling in that fight, and he goes to shoot him, but he uses the hand to protect himself, like the arm.
Uh-huh.
So I like that the arm kind of is such a reoccurring piece of this episode. It's not just an afterthought. It's a big part of what the focus is, and that losing the arm is now in the future protecting Jet, right? It saves Jet's life this time.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that sort of connection.
No, that's a good point to kind of make up. And on one hand, it feels slightly not shoehorned, but abrupt, I guess. So it's sort of, I don't know if maybe first time seeing it or something, it'll really register that, but I get what you mean, though.
Yeah. But it's not drawn attention to of, Jet's not doing some big, like I know Udai says, like, how you lost your arm, but then Jet doesn't go into some big monologue about the arm and then, blocks a bullet or something, right? It's just, it's within the action, it flows, and he doesn't make some quip about, I don't know. I like it. I think it works.
Yeah. Like I said, I guess it is better that it doesn't have that whole monologue thing to it and whatnot.
I've learned to live with this or something, right? Like he doesn't, it doesn't kind of spiel off into that kind of.
Right.
At that point, he's already said that kind of point early on. He doesn't need to say that to basically a stranger. I mean, Udai's not quite a stranger per se, but not somebody he necessarily has a, I don't know, positive relationship with. So.
Right. Not quite the most blossoming of friendships.
Right. Yeah, that's all I've got is the one quote is all I have left.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty. I think I'm pretty good. I guess it's also nice that Jet's able to rationalize out what Udai would do. Mm-hmm. So he's got a good idea on, or at least Udai's mode of thinking. So
he's like a dog, right? He's able to sniff out the criminal.
Mm-hmm. So what's the line that you really enjoyed?
So I can't remember all the preceding lines, but it's when Jet and Fad are out on the bridge and they're smoking. And they're talking about
Oh, I think I know where this is.
Well, going. It's not the tax line about the gun actually.
Oh.
No, it's the near the end of the conversation when they're talking about the statute of limitations, and he says something about I wish you were my partner again, or join the ISS again, or whatever. And he says, now that is past the statute of limitations.
He was referring to Udai.
Oh,
yeah. Shouldn't Udai, you're just going to let him run free? We gotta do something about this. And that's when he's like, the train rolls past, and it's like past the statute of limitations.
Right.
So, yeah, that's a good one.
I could have used the Faye one about how come this place never has hot water or whatever she's saying.
Right. So since we didn't have a bounty, the only thing that really kind of came up was a 2,000 Wulong fine for littering that gets mentioned, which is kind of weird because in a following episode, watermelons are costing 1,000 Wulong. So, Anyway, so I guess I start us off with what we would do for the bounty-ish thing here.
Yes.
So, I enjoy this episode. I would, if we're going off of a 2,000 Wulong thing, I would give it, I'd probably say about, give it a 20,000.
Nice.
Yeah. So how about yourself?
Yeah, I was looking at a pretty high number. I was going to go about 15. It's 15,000.
Okay. Yeah, it's a solid episode. I think I probably prefer Ganymede Elegy a bit more. But this is the other betrayal, right? The unknown one that gets revealed, and how Jet is blind to these things, but also unlike the previous betrayal. This one is a bit more, like you had said, he's kind of like snapped into it and was go.
Right.
So there is progress.
Mm-hmm.
He's moving along. So
Yep.
yeah. All right. Anything else you would like to add?
No, I'm good.
All right. So yeah, that is it for our discussion here on the Black Dog Serenade. Let us know what you think of it. I mean, maybe this one, I feel like the Jet ones a lot of time, like the three main ones that I'm thinking of, I feel like they progressively become more and more disliked by people.
Oh, okay.
So maybe Ganymede Elegies, that one's the good one, and then this one, it's the middling one, and then what's that? Boogie Woogie Feng Shui. A lot of people dislike that one. So, but yeah, I'm curious to hear what other people have to say about it and stuff like that. And yeah, that's really it. Thanks for listening. All that sort of fun jazz from Sushi Beat and myself. Thank you, and see you, Space Cowboy.